death is such a big thing because your whole life is waited out for this thing. You know what I mean? It's just waiting for you when you're gonna die.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you know that, whoa, I'm gonna die. You know, see, I don't know that I'm gonna die. I've got no concept that I'm gonna die because I'm invulnerable. You know what I mean? I'm a teenager, man. I'm not gonna die, and if I'm dying, we're not gonna die till I'm 90.
Yeah.
And you know that you're gonna die, so what does it do?
I thought that about at first until I started getting to know people who were HIV positive or had AIDS.
Yeah.
I thought, well, I'm invulnerable. And then when I started seeing people dying off and getting sick, I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
These people are only a few years older than me or my same age.
You said you were on your own since you were 14.
I've been kicked out of my house and in and out of shelters and back and forth.
Oh, so your
since I was
parents
14.
didn't like have any role, or you felt anything with them about this?
No.
Do your parents know that you're...
No, I haven't had contact with my parents. I last talked to my mother like in January, but I haven't had contact with my parents really since about April of last year. So.
Why? If you don't...
Why? They don't want me around.
Do you have any other family, brothers and sisters, or anything that you are close with?
I have my sister, but her fiance is very homophobic. So.
Guess you're homophobic, made me laugh.
You know, it's, so it's really, there's no family there, there's friends, but that's really about it. I have my companion, and that's about it.
So what would you say to someone who even thinks that they might have the risk of having AIDS? Would you tell them to go out and get tested? I mean... With people I know, that's the biggest controversy. Because if you get tested, you know what you can do to help keep yourself healthy. The longer you can keep yourself healthy, the longer you'll live, period. But if you don't, you'll die. If you basically you'll die. That's all there is to it. That's why people are living a lot longer now than they were before. But there's the advantage of knowing of what you can do to keep yourself healthy. And there's also the disadvantages. Even if you do come back negative, somebody finding out you have the test and put you in a high-risk group and then start discriminating against you because you wouldn't get tested.
Oh, yeah. I know someone who's been tested and nobody else in the entire world knows, and there's no way in a million years you'd ever tell anybody in a million years.
Yeah. Also with insurance, if you've been tested, insurance companies can go find out if you've been tested and you don't get insurance.
Yeah.
How, now, for like people at home, how do you get tested?
How do you get tested? In the city of Chicago, there's clinics you can go to that are free, but you wait 3 weeks. Like I said before, they're the longest 3 weeks in your life, period. And they give you some counseling afterwards, but really there's not too much there telling you about the disease. You can go to hospitals, any county or basically public hospital, and you could have the test ran there, but it varies from $25 to $50 for the test, and you still have to wait 2 weeks.
Did you attend school till you were 18?
No, I didn't get a chance to. I attended until I was 16 and a half.
Now, in school, how much education did they, prepare you?
None.
None at all?
None. They do not teach you anything, really, in school.
Do you think they should?
Definitely. I've even been thinking about going around and talking to schools and saying, hey, I'm the same age as the seniors in this school. I'm HIV positive. I found out when I was the age of the juniors in this school. I'm just like every one of you.
Are you going to worry about the reactions? Would you worry about the reactions you'd get at high schools from going somewhere and saying something? I'm just curious, just because. I mean, I know that I'd be like, yeah, that's cool, but I know a lot of people would be like, you know what I mean?
Yes, but you gotta think.
Cold when it comes to what
Yeah, you gotta think. Hey, what have you done? Who have you slept with? What have you done lately? So think about it. You don't have to be gay, bisexual to get this. Anybody can get it, period.
Anybody sexually active
To get it, yeah.
can get it and should. You think, okay, what I'm getting at.
You don't have to be sexually active, though.
Drugs.
Drugs.
Blood transfusion, operation.
But drug transfusion has basically been put way down the list.
Because
The main thing is, if you're using drugs, sharing needles, which is exchange of body fluid, and sex. And like in my case, it does not have to be voluntary sex. It can be involuntary.
There are certainly other ways of practicing safer sex, and without going through a grocery list of all the ways that can be done, we kind of look at the bottom line. The bottom line for transmission of HIV virus is the exchange of body fluids. In other words, vaginal secretions, secretions in the vagina, or semen, the production of sperm from the penis, or the mucous membrane discharge around the anal canal. Any way in which body fluids are exchanged is a way in which the virus can be transmitted. If you can engage in sexual behavior or sexual enjoyment that does not exchange body fluids, it's by and large a safe method of sex. So you don't need a grocery list, but you need to ask yourself the criteria here. Are we exchanging body fluids? If we're not exchanging body fluids, then we're not subjecting ourselves to the risk of acquiring this infection.
There's a big difference between talking about safe sex and actually doing safe sex, or practicing safe sex. Talking about it doesn't prevent it as well as doing it. At Stop AIDS, when we go to talk to teenagers, or even us ourselves that work there, they ask us to sign a piece of paper that says we are committed to actually practicing safe sex for ourselves and try to get others around us to do it.
Well, I think the hardest part about discovering that our son had AIDS was that we had no one to share it with. He didn't want us to tell anybody for the fear that people in the neighborhood or community would find out about it.
When I start getting sick, what am I going to do? I don't know. I seriously don't know.
I know this is going to be kind of morbid, but has suicide ever crossed your mind? Because
yeah, about every day.
Really?
About every day. You figure, why should I live with this? You know, it's like, why not just end it now and get it over with? But then you realize, hey, there's a lot better things to live for. I used to really not notice anything. It's like I just thought trees were something nice for shade, you know, something pretty to look at when you're traveling down the road. But now I notice them for being trees, all the little details, the twigs, the veins in the leaves. I notice all that now. I do not take anything for granted because tomorrow I can be in a hospital bed dying. You know, because I didn't take care of myself. It's there. I feel kind of lucky that I had to grow up faster than most. Because if the way my family was, if I was still living at home and found out, I'd be on the street, nowhere to go. Thankfully, I had friends when I was first kicked out of our house and had places to go, knew about different shelters I could go to. And basically, I had to stable myself out until I met my companion beginning of this year. I was still bouncing around from here to there. I decided, okay, I'll move to San Francisco, try to change things around. Get out there, there's an earthquake. I was screwed over. Where I was going to live wasn't there. And then I was raped. And it's like I really didn't know what to do with that. I'm like, what can get worse? And I've already seen everything there is to see. And really didn't have any place to live, was staying with friends, and I stayed with my mother for a while. That was the last time I talked to her. It was like in the beginning of January. I was just staying there because she said, okay, you can stay here, but you can get a place of your own. You have to buy your own food, everything, take care of your own stuff, but you can just stay here. And then moved out, you know, in with my companion, and then a few months later found out I was HIV-positive. And it's like, thankfully, we were together, and I had already started working, so I had some place, and I knew I wasn't going to get kicked out. He said, no matter what you do, if we break up or get into a fight or whatever, I'm not kicking you out. Basically because he knows I have nowhere to go. If I get sick, I can't pay my own medical bills by myself. Yeah.
How did you
buy groceries and stuff? How do you get the money?
Working. Working, but buys groceries. The medical bills, you just pay off a little bit at a time. That's the only way I can pay off.
What's your employer know?
What do you work?
I work with my companion. Okay. And we work we do freelance work. So,
How
basically.
did he contract the disease?
His was because he was very promiscuous when he was younger. He's a few years older than I am. And basically he was being promiscuous when people were just starting to find out what AIDS was, starting to find the definition of AIDS, and nobody really knew anything about it.
Yeah.
And he didn't really find out anything about it until it was too late.
Did you get together with him after or before you found out you had it?
Before. We found out about the same time, which was really hard. After I cried for 3 days, I talked to a friend of mine on the phone for like about 12 hours. You know, I basically dropped out, didn't talk to anybody. Talked to one friend of mine back here on the phone a few times. She doesn't know I moved back here. Last time I talked to her was like in basically May. And it basically just dropped out of everything until I moved back here. And decided, hey, I'm back here. This is where I grew up. I know people here. I'm going to start telling people about it, what I'm going through. And basically people know, hey, this can happen to you.
Was there anyone that didn't know you were gay, didn't know anything except, you know, hey, how you doing? I remember you. And how did you feel telling them for the first time?
Scared. Every time you tell someone, it's like realizing for yourself for the first time. You don't really want to do it. I was sitting back there like, okay, maybe I should go home. It's like, should I really do this?
When you meet somebody, do you feel obligated to tell them that you have it? I mean...
when I meet somebody anymore, I talk to them for a while and then say, you know, if it comes up.
Because I would think it's pretty much none of their business if you're not...
It is none of their business unless they bring it up. If they bring it up, then I say something. But otherwise, I really don't. Unless I've gotten to know that person for a while, then I say, I don't know how you're going to feel about this or what you're going to think, but I'm HIV positive. And right then, you'll know if they're going to be a friend or not. Because if they stand there and don't really say anything and then let you talk or then say something, then usually they're going to be a friend. For at least I think. I don't know, I haven't been sick yet. But or if the person just turns around, yells at you, hits you, or walks away, then, you know, forget it. Don't even try with that person.
You've gone through both of it?
Yeah.
Has living with HIV become any easier?
Mentally, yes. You know, you can deal with it a little bit better over time. You don't let it drag you down as much as when you first find out. It's not nearly as easy as being HIV negative, which is much easier. But even then, you don't stop taking precautions. If you find out you're HIV negative, oh, I'm safe. But what about the next person you sleep with or share a needle with? That person can be HIV positive. And you really have to think about that. I don't know, I spend a lot of time sitting on Lake Michigan. Well, not now since it's cold. But just sitting there, watching the boats go by, thinking, gee, that'd be nice on a boat, you know, be out on the lake or on the ocean. But now I realize that the chance is very slim that I'll ever be able to do that. And, you know, I see all of you sitting here, it's like, well, gee, I'd like to see, you know, all of you be able to do that. But any one of you right now could be HIV positive and not know it. Because you think, oh, I feel perfectly healthy, there's nothing wrong with me. You could have been HIV positive for the past year or two and not know it. The testing facilities are out there. Find them, go find out.
See, that scares me.
Yes, it does.
I wouldn't want to find out.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to find out either.
I mean, I'd like to, but then part of me says,
you can't handle it.
It feels like if you didn't know you had it, and then you find out, then all of a sudden it becomes
you know, then all of a sudden you start feeling sick and you start...
Everything's different.
Some do.
Everything-
Some people do. That's why some people die so soon.
You push it, make it worse.
Because you bring it on? Because if you
You let
just like any
yourself
sickness,
get
you can bring
sick.
it on mental.
Psychosomatic illness.
You let yourself catch the other diseases, which basically kill you.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't want to find out.
I wouldn't.
If I want to, if I want to get sick and I want to die, let myself die. I don't want to know.
I want to know
know.
because there's so much that I
See,
would
no,
want to do
it's-
before.
I'd want to find out so I don't hurt anybody.
So you
Anyone
don't-
else, That's
Not so
yeah.
you don't hurt anybody, so you don't kill somebody.
That would be the
Yeah.
one reason that I would find out. I would find, you know, but to think that I'd be finding out whether or not I'm going to live or die, God, that scares
But
the hell out
also,
of me.
would you like to know before you get sick or when you're in the hospital almost dead?
Oh, yeah.
Well,
You have to think about that too.
yeah.
That's true.
That's when I first started going and getting tested, when I realized, wait, am I going to know about this when I'm almost dead, or would I rather know before?
Okay, but let's think about this right now, okay, right? You're telling, I completely understand what you're saying, and I think, yeah, you know, maybe I should go get tested and just to see, you know? But what am I going to do? Go up to my, I mean, yeah, I should. You go to your mom and say,
don't
Mom,
have
could you
to tell
take me to
anybody.
get tested for it? She'd flip. She would flip with the word AIDS, not because she's prejudiced of it, just because she could not imagine that her baby would be doing this. You know what I mean?
You can get tested totally confidential. No one has to know.
Not
but
even your
you,
parents?
Not even your parents. It is totally anonymous.
Like a pregnancy test. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just saying that it's just like,
They would die if you brought the word
Yeah.
up. I mean,
Mom, I have
not to say that
no,
they never heard it,
asking her
but
about
just
getting
because,
getting a test,
exactly.
you know what I mean? She wouldn't flip out like badly, like I'm never talking again, but she'd be just like, it's my baby.
Why? Why
You know
would
what I
you?
mean? It's my
Yeah.
baby.
Why? Because you can die. That's
Yeah.
why.
That's a good enough reason for me, but it scares the hell out of me.
If your mother asks, well, why? Or parents ask, why? Why do you want to get this done? I could have it. You can tell them, I could have it. You can have it.
The role of parents in this particular infection and its transmission among teenagers is more important than it's ever been in the past because the stakes are much higher. Now, it would have been nice if parents had been sort of intimately involved all along regarding their teenager's choice of having intercourse, whether or not they might acquire a sexually transmitted disease. It becomes even more crucial now with HIV infection. But for a parent, and I'm a parent of teenagers myself, the issue is sort of coming to grips with the possibility that your teenager might be sexually active. I mean, you'd really rather believe that's not occurring and that somehow this isn't a relevant topic for your own adolescence. So parents, I know it's very difficult for them to sort of get over that hump and to figure, well, this is an appropriate topic and my teenager is sexually active and we ought to have some serious talks about that. When parents can get comfortable with that concept and the teenager can kind of loosen up and feel comfortable to talk with their parents about it, then we see them make some progress in terms of discussing prevention. But until there's an admittance by the teenager and sort of an acceptance by the parent, they never get on to the more important topics of protection. They're still hung up with the sexuality issue and somehow my little Johnny or my little Susie, you know, aren't at that stage in their development yet. So most parents, I think, at least in my experience of practice, are sort of unwilling to acknowledge what their teenagers are doing.
His life meant so much to so many different people, and they picked up so many things from him. And when we sent his quilt when we turned his quilt in, why, the one cousin wrote a little thing up about David, and it was who David was, who us his parents were, and who his friends were. And in there was a longing of missing in there. Well, where are you? Well, when we were making this quilt of David, why aren't you here helping us? Why did you have to go? Why did you have to do this? Things of this nature. Okay?
And one of the things he said to me in the hospital toward the end is, Mom, I didn't mean to do this to you. So he knew, you know, how upset we were and how we were, and he'd always said, I always thought I would take care of you. I didn't know you were going to be taking care of me.
yes, I'm HIV positive and may die with AIDS in the next few days or the next few years, or I may live to be 76, average age of death. But I don't know that, but the chances are about 90% greater that I will die before then. I'll be happy if I see the age of 27, which is when most people are getting out of college, finishing graduate school. I'll be very happy if I live 10 years with this.
Are you compacting now your daily activities within your budget? Are you trying to compact as much as you can? You don't just get it all in? Are you thinking right now?
I thought that at first, but then I realized, wait a second, I'm not sick. I had the AIDS virus in me.
The possibility,
Yeah, there's a possibility that I can get sick and die. I used to think about that at first, but anymore it's just like, when I feel like doing something, I try to do it, yes. But I don't try to cram
a full life
into a week. Because that's ridiculous. You'll just stress yourself out from that. You don't be seeing a psychologist. No, I don't do that.
So you just kind of just observe more than you usually would. Kind of take in more things than you usually would.
Definitely. My views about everything have totally changed. I do not think the same whatsoever. I go to the nightclub Medusa's, which probably all of you may have been to. You all know about it.
Yeah.
I go there, and a lot of times I just stand on the balcony and watch people. And it's really sad to see what they're doing. I mean, it's like you go into the men's bathroom and there's condoms on the wall, but the machine's totally full because nobody's buying them.
And the girls too.
But do you ever, when you go in there, see any of the girls buying them?
Hell no.
No.
You don't.
No. And they're right there.
They're right there. It's like, hey, these are right there, use them. It can help save your life. It's the best protection there is now, except for not having sex, period.
Do you think when the time comes that you'll have any regrets, anything that you say, I wish I could have done, but I've been limited because of the virus?
No. I used to think that. Now I think, well, this is the time for me to die. That's basically it.
Everybody's going to have something that they didn't do before they,
Yeah. It's like I had dreams before, but now I am actually working on my dreams. I'm very interested in cars and designing cars, and I'm trying to get an apprenticeship started with specializing in Ferrari mechanics and repair, which is helping me towards my goal. And I'm not letting anything stop me from reaching that, but I'm not going haywire trying to get it done.
Now, you expect or hope to live to 27, which is, it's a long time, but not, as long as life. A regular, the average person, are you pretty fearless in what you do? Like, yeah, I'll just do this because, you're not planning, too far ahead in your future.
No, I'm not fearless with what I do. I think about everything I do. Yeah. It's like, I used to be one of those that if there wasn't a car coming and, the crosswalk sign said, don't walk, and there wasn't a car coming, I'd walk. Anymore, I wait, and even when the sign does say walk, I look. And a double look, I don't know, that's okay. This isn't this hurt. It's really hard to explain. Basically, each one of you mentioned something you enjoy or like to watch or something. Just go ahead. Tennis. Guitar.
Acting.
Football.
Okay. It doesn't matter. You didn't say anything, that's okay.
Trying, yeah.
Now, imagine those things and you realizing that this could be the last time you're participating in them or watching them. Imagine that could be the last time. Now, wouldn't you try to get the most of it you can, but would you try cramming everything in at once?
No.
Try to constantly do it? Or would you just try to enjoy it to the fullest?
Enjoy it to the fullest.
Exactly. Or it's like, we'll do everything. It's like you can't enjoy yourself then.
Right.
It's like I used to go to the zoo maybe once or twice a year, this year I've been like 12 times.
Once a month. You're not doing it every day.
Are you more perceptive? Like, oh, I didn't notice that before.
Yes, very much so.
You really do find yourself like that. You really do find yourself more perceptive.
Yes.
See, I mean, because I mean, I know that if I was like a dying or something, that I would find myself to be like, I mean, do you find yourself making yourself more perceptive, or you're just naturally more perceptive?
No, you just become naturally more perceptive.
Yeah. See, it's really interesting.
It's like I used to like see a building, you know, with marble facade and everything. I'm like, oh, that's nice. And now it's like I watch the veining of the marble.
See, that's something I didn't think, you know, because
It's like most people my age and your guys' age, you know, basically the same age group, don't think about that stuff. We're like, okay, what are we gonna do Friday after school? Basically, come on. It's like admit it. That's like, okay, what are we doing this weekend? And what do most of you guys think? Oh, like go to a party or go out.
Toga.
Yeah, it's like, you don't think about that. You're like, well, I can't really do, well, I'd like to do that, but I can't really do that. Because if I go out and have a snowball fight, I can get sick.
Yeah.
I can get sick and die. That's all there is to it. It's really strange because I really feel alienated. Really feel alienated.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times I feel like I am the only teenager in the whole world who is HIV positive. But I know I'm not, but I feel that way quite a bit.
But that's not selfish. Do you think that's selfish?
No.
Yeah.
It's human.
Yeah.
It's basically just human. And that's all there is to it.
Do you tend to catch yourself thinking more, I don't want to say it, more like getting to the core things, such as like just the meaning of life, the meaning of this? I mean, do you tend to catch yourself more, you know, directed to some, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, that's got to be like, you know, when your companion's not home and you're just sitting there and it's like you just start thinking. I mean, there's got to be times when you just want to, you know, scream and say, how come we don't understand this, or how come?
Yeah.
You know, these things.
We've talked about it quite a bit, and it's got to points where we just sit there and cry for a few hours. And it's like, I sit there and cry. I'm starting to do it now. It's like, I was sitting there crying, and I'll ask, well, what are you crying about? And it's like, I don't know if you're going to be there tomorrow. And he does stuff, some things that can be stupid, like that can hurt himself. He's more worried about if I'm going to get hurt, and I'm more worried about if he's going to get hurt. And I guess I sneeze. He's like, well, you ready to go to the hospital? It's like, give me some cold medicine, you know? And if he gets a sneeze or something, it's like, well, you better go get that checked out. He's like, no, give me some cold medicine. We do it all the time, but we don't realize we're doing it.
You said your companion helps you through a lot. What? I mean, eventually one of you is going to be in a situation where you're going to be alone. You think there's going to be the people out there to help you? You think there's enough people out there to?
Not as close as him. Like you were talking about earlier about love and what's really love. I thought, oh, I was in love a few times, but I didn't really realize what it was until you find out you're going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And that person, no matter what happens, will always be there. I mean, I get scared when I start getting sick or feeling bad, or just start feeling scared, and he's not there. You know, it's just like, okay, what if something's happened to him? What am I going to do? And you think, who am I going to go to? There are places you can go with counseling, but it's not the same as the person who spends basically 24 hours a day with you. Who that person is you. You know, like I said, you can say you're in love with somebody, see them like at school or once in a while afterwards. But like your parents, if some of you have parents that are, you know, and a lot of you might have, some of you might have parents that are divorced, but the parents that are still together after who knows how many years. And they fight constantly, but then they come back and like hug and kiss. And just like, okay, you two were just fighting a minute ago. They really love each other.
Yeah.
And they will more likely, if they can do that, fight, and then come back a few minutes later and we're like, gee, I was an ass. And realize that about themselves and be able to admit that, or have their companion tell them that and be able to accept that. That's more likely when you're in love. When you can take anything that person says and you're not putting on your facade of what you want with that person. That's when you realize you're in love. And a lot of people don't realize that or even have a friendship with somebody until something like this happens. I'm sitting here, basically, you can say this diagnosis eventually leads to death. My companion says, well, when he got his diagnosis, he said, I'm dead, but I'll just keep on doing stuff like I wasn't. You go to bed almost every night thinking, well, I don't want to wake up. I don't want to deal with this. But it's there, and you deal with it. And I have a feeling with you 6 sitting here, this is the first time you've actually met somebody who has it.